Good morning from Los Angeles. My name is John Keogh, and welcome to the Future of Food 10 by 10 blockchain series. In this highly anticipated series, I'll speak with 10 blockchain companies for 10 minutes to get their views on the key challenges in the food industry and also to look at the opportunities where blockchain may be beneficial. And today I'm delighted to have with me the CTO from Ripe.io, Sundar Padmanabhan. Good morning, Sundar.
Good morning, John. Happy to be here. Thank
Now,
you for
Sundar, I'm in Los Angeles and you're in San Francisco, so we're on the same time zone. It's 8:30 a.m. on a Saturday morning. In the first minute, can you tell us a little bit about you and a little bit about Ripe?
Absolutely, John. Happy to be here. And John, quick background about myself. I've spent almost couple of decades plus in the tech industry, working with large enterprise technology companies, startups, innovation ecosystem, quite some time with the fintech banking sector. And the last few years, I've been very involved with blockchain, especially in the food industry. And very happy to be with Ripe and what we do here. And talking about Ripe, we strive to answer this question of knowing your food. We look at the entire ecosystem of the food supply chain, if I may, starting from the growers, the distributors, the processors, the packers, and every single entity. We connect all these players in the food supply chain, and basically through our platform, leveraging blockchain, we strive to answer this question of which is being asked about, what happened to the food, the journey of the food. Where did it come from? Who touched it along the way? Is it safe? And we're very excited about the partnership we have with the industry and the clients that we work with across the global ecosystem, and looking forward to doing more of that.
That's wonderful. So, Sundar, on your journey over the last number of years, and you've done a lot of client visits, you visited farms and talked to a lot of producers and processors. What do you see as the key challenges that the food industry is dealing with today?
John, the key issues around the food supply chain, as all of us know, the transparency and the visibility and the traceability is still a very strong issue that needs to be tackled, especially highlighted during the pandemic situation right now. A couple of things I want to highlight is I look at digitization across the food supply chain, a very key challenge that the food industry need to meet, especially right now. Just walking into a food grocery store, John, you look at it, you see a food that is grown like 100 miles from your home, could be thousands of miles from your home, and the variety and the diversity of the type of food that we see is fantastic. And along with that, highlights the complexity and the fragmentation of the entire food supply chain. So it's very important. We talk about digitization as a whole, you talk about tools, technology, but also people, process. So it needs to be end-to-end. What I mean by that is digitization needs to across at every aspect of the food supply chain. And as you said, John, in our experience, we have spent time at sitting with a farmer, a grower, producer, all the way to each actors in the chain. And we truly feel that the digitization has to percolate through and include every entity in the supply chain. And of course, looking at data, how they're being siloed, all can be rolled into the digitization transformation required. The second thing what I want to quickly highlight is the demand for information that is there right now. Consumers have always been asking, it's been more right now, as to people are asking about the provenance, the where did the food come from, the ingredients, and some more discerning customers are asking about ethical sourcing and sustainability, and all this need to be answered. And what information that is being asked is need to be timely and accurate and should be in a very trusted manner.
Gotcha. There's a lot built in there, and I'll certainly come back to some of those. But what I do like in what you mentioned what I call the 3D model, which is the basic digitization, where farmers are moving from analog to digital at the very raw stage.
Yeah.
And then you also mentioned the business process and role, which is the digitalization, which is a different concept again. And I think embedded in all of that, what you're talking about is really the digital transformation of the food industry. So very happy to hear all of those elements packed into the challenges. And of course, the demand for transparency and where the products come from, their true provenance and so on, all critical components. So when you take all of these challenges and now you look at the application of blockchain, where do you believe blockchain can be most beneficial in the food industry?
John, we believe blockchain is a very powerful technology, and it's not a silver bullet for all the issues, but can be, if leveraged well, can create a lot of traction in the food industry and create a lot of benefits. And just to highlight a couple of them, I look at blockchain as being a very powerful technology enabling a very strong collaboration framework. When you look at all the actors and the data being siloed and the fragmentation that is there currently exists in the ecosystem, and when you look at data, the three aspects, we like to kind of break it down, the whole acquiring and storing data, defining and managing data, and sharing data. If you look at all three of them, there are tremendous silos, even within large entities, within the same company and ecosystem experience, I've seen that being siloed. So blockchain can essentially connect the dots between every single actor in the supply chain. And once you bring it together, can create a trusted, data-driven collaboration framework, which can impact the supply chain in a very positive manner. And as you know, John, we are currently working hand in hand with GS1 and with a small think tank of technology providers like IBM, SAP, and FoodLogic IQ. We're looking at overall the interoperability initiative and see how this can be defined for all the food entities as a blockchain interoperability. But we're looking at not just from blockchain from top to bottom. We are looking at the data side, like I said, the three elements of data that we need to look at. At the same time, we are also engaging every business actors in this ecosystem and working with them to democratize data and clearly understand the KDEs, what data needs to be shared, what does governance means across these platforms. And eventually there's a larger play in the platforms coming together and creating this interoperability protocols. So we believe it's a very key initiative in bringing all the elements together, where blockchain can be a trusted source in connecting the data. The second key benefit, what I see, is the automation aspects across the food supply chain. Today, a lot of process in the food supply chain are archaic, paper-driven, very time-intensive, and using blockchain can create tremendous amount of automation. John, as during this pandemic, we saw the need on the demand supply where food was wasted on one side and there's a demand. We launched this product called Ripe Community in Q2. And in a more localized New York area where it's simply a data directory of food businesses can upload their data and make it available for a consumer. And it created a lot of traction, and we see that growing into a larger initiative, working with Grow New York initiatives. But what we see now, for an example, in this case, we didn't need blockchain to do the first stage. But as it evolves, we can see that the data integrity of data could be validated by, like, for example, certification from a farm or a third-party audit, validations could be anchored on a chain, creating more trust. And if there is movement of products, ensure enough traceability and visibility, and create smart contracts essentially to automate the process that needs to, as a handshake happens, whether it's payments or any kind of business rules that need to be applied. So blockchain can evolve into a very, very powerful automation, and we see that extending into, trade entities when we're working closely with the entities in Australia, creating this seamless transaction of export of goods, especially in the food produce, where enabling this automation can facilitate movement of goods and produces in a more effective manner, creating better margins for the industry. And all this put together is going to create tremendous amount of efficiencies.
Gotcha. Wonderful. Again, a lot to unpack there, but just very, very briefly, we have about a minute left. You see it as a powerful technology, but not the silver bullet in the applications. What I really like about what you mentioned is that it can help you to build a strong collaboration platform where you can look at data from the acquiring data to storing the data and then sharing the data. And then the important factor you mentioned, I think this is critically important, working with competitors to try to figure out a foundation layer of standards with GS1, and also the interoperability, which is key. So I think they're really solid components building those digital ecosystems. In the last 30 seconds to 1 minute, if you were up in front of 50 startup CEOs in the food industry, what guidance would you give them, Sundar?
Of course, John, we would definitely want them to talk to us. Apart from that, I would strongly recommend start thinking digital from the get-go. That's going to create traction. That's the future. And second thing is listen very closely to the market, listen to your customers, and iterate fast. And these two would allow you to get a good, whether it's a tool or a product that you're trying to work on, create more traction on that.
Wonderful. Ladies and gentlemen, there you go. There you have it. All the way from San Francisco, the CTO of Ripe.io, Sundar Padmanabhan. Sundar, thank you so much for offering up your Saturday morning to share your advice, guidance, and wisdom.
Thank you, John. Very happy to be here, and thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.